Welcome back to the journey through real-life mysteries and chilling true stories. And if this is your first time here, be prepared, because the stories you're about to hear won't just send shivers down your spine. They'll make you wonder what might be lurking just beyond what we can see. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share this channel with fellow seekers of the strange and unexplained. Are you ready? The journey begins now. A circle of blood in the snow. A goat's head, still warm. No footprints. No noise. And then, a man returns from the forest, speaking of the Red One. This isn't fiction. This happened, and the ritual may not be over. Mystery Case File: Blood Ritual in Black Hills. Located just over an hour's drive from the town of Buckettsville, Maryland, the Black Hills Forest has long been the subject of eerie legends. Most know it by its pop culture name, the Blair Witch Forest, birthplace of the infamous Blair Witch myth. But few realize that in 1994, in that very forest, a gruesome sight was discovered, a blood sacrifice ritual, so bizarre the FBI became involved in a resolution. No suspects, no identified victim. The case was officially closed in 2002, but locals still whisper strange tales that return each winter. Some claim to have vanished and reappeared with no memory of who they were. Others captured strange recordings, unintelligible prayers spoken in a language no one could identify. And the most disturbing of all was the blood circle. December 22nd, 1994, at dawn, on a ridge on the western edge of Black Hills, a three-person patrol unit from the Maryland Forestry Department was on a routine check along Trail Route 14. Leading the group was Roger Nels, a 62-year-old ranger with over 3 decades of experience in the region. With him were Rookie Officer Scott Havers and Field Biologist Laura Brandt. At IT was 6:40 a.m. A thin layer of pale light filtered through the blackened trees of the winter forest. Laura saw at first that a massive circle of blood, motionless on the white snow, as if someone had painted a forbidden sigil using fresh blood. The circle spanned more than 8 meters in diameter, forming spiraling lines that led to the center. Beneath the core stood a flat stone slab covered in tufts of animal fur, mostly deer, squirrels, even snowy owls. On top lay a decapitated goat's head, its eyes wide open, staring with a lifeless gaze. The blood didn't soak into the snow. It congealed like jelly, and in some places seemed to flow against gravity. The sight made Roger step back, gripping his radio tightly. "We shouldn't be here," he muttered, his voice low and uncertain. There were no footprints, no tire marks, no broken branches, no sign that any living thing had moved into or out of the site. All they found was a presence, a heavy, unexplainable weight in the air. No wind, no birds, no sound except their own boots crunching the snow. Roger called it in. Local police arrived by 8:12 a.m. Within 2 hours, the FBI was on site. A 50-meter perimeter was sealed off. Bioskin tools, heat sensors, UV spectrum cameras, all deployed. But every instrument and agent returned the same result: nothing except the blood and the silence. The following day, December 23rd, when the forensic team returned to collect samples, the central stone altar was gone. No drag marks, no sled tracks, just a depression in the snow and a clean hole where the altar had been. Dr. Harold Neiman, lead forensic pathologist, reported, "No known tool can make such smooth incisions in biological tissue without microscopic trauma. This wasn't a knife, nor an axe, nor any surgical equipment. Even more disturbing, some blood samples didn't match any known North American wildlife. One sample displayed protein structures similar to human blood, but with abnormal lymphocyte precursors. In short, human-like, but not quite human." NASA's satellite feed, requested by law enforcement, showed that all infrared imaging from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. over Black Hills was lost to static. The affected area appeared as a dark smudge, like a burn mark, on the surveillance map. The FBI's internal note was terse: signal loss, cause unknown, possibility of high-level electromagnetic interference. But here's the problem: that forest has no power grid, no towers, no military base, just trees, snow, and blood. On January 15, 1995, William Graves, a 27-year-old engineer from Baltimore, was reported missing during a solo hike in Black Hills. Rescue teams found only a blood-stained leather glove and a 12-meter slide in the snow, ending abruptly with no further trace. 2 days later, at 3:20 a.m., William reappeared on his mother's porch in Baltimore, over 100 kilometers away. He was barefoot, his fingernails cracked, wearing a filthy red cloak, eyes wide in a trance-like state. He said nothing. He didn't respond. Psychiatrists diagnosed complete amnesia. MRI scans showed no damage, but activity around his hippocampus, the memory center, was irregular. He carried only one item: a black leather-bound notebook. Inside were strange symbols, blood spirals, faceless hooded figures. Scattered throughout were trembling handwritten English phrases. "I saw the red one. He bleeds the moon into us. We drink and forget. We forget. We forget." On October 14, 1996, 4 film students from Towson University began shooting a documentary titled Blair Forest: Truth or Legend. Armed with a Sony VHS camcorder, audio recorder, and 2 film cameras, they entered Black Hills. They vanished. For 72 hours, they were later found at a roadside rest stop, shaken and confused. None remembered what they had filmed. Only one phrase kept repeating: "We went into the dark place." When technicians reviewed the footage, they found a 5-minute segment corrupted by static. Amid the noise was childlike chanting in a language no one recognized. Audio analysis revealed 4 to 5 vocal layers, with sound frequencies not typically produced by human mouths. A faint beating sound, like a ritual drum, underscored the chanting. In the final frames, a strobe-like flash illuminates a hooded red-robed figure standing in the blood circle, faceless, holding a deer's head. When shown the footage, the students had no memory of it. One broke into tears. One suffered a panic attack. The other 2 said nothing. The FBI confiscated the tape. None of them ever made films again. In 1998, Emily Davis, a 6-year-old girl from Buckettsville, began filling her sketchbooks with disturbing drawings. black trees, red moons, spirals of blood, and always a red-robed, faceless figure standing in the center. When her mother asked who the figure was, Emily replied, "That's the red one. He talks in the forest voice. He calls me in dreams." A month earlier, Emily had gone missing for 2 hours during a family picnic in the woods. She was found standing motionless on the trail, facing west, toward where the blood circle had once been discovered. Child psychologists diagnosed PTSD or night terrors. But one Jungian analyst, after reviewing the drawings, wrote, "The iconography aligns disturbingly well with Akkadian ritual blood myths, specifically the figure known as he who calls beneath the blood moon." Emily stopped drawing, but to this day, she refuses to sleep in any room where moonlight enters. In 2002, the FBI officially closed the Black Hills ritual case for lack of prosecutable evidence. But leaked documents suggest at least 3 agents requested reassignment after participating in the investigation. One of them, retired Agent MR, in a secret recording, said, "It wasn't a cult. It wasn't a murder. We don't know what we witnessed, but it predates language, and it knew we were watching." That same year, Roger Nels, the ranger who first discovered the site, died, mentally broken. In his journal, he left one final entry: "I still hear the whispering. Every winter, when the snow falls, I don't dare look down, because if I see that blood spiral again, I won't be coming back." The Black Hills still stand. Tourists still visit. And perhaps the ritual never truly ended. Classified file: the John Titor case. In the year 2000, a stranger appeared on the internet. He claimed to be a soldier from the year 2036. He shared blueprints for a time machine, warned of nuclear war, and then vanished. This is the true story of John Titor, and it's far more disturbing than any science fiction. The man from the future appeared on the internet in 2000 and vanished as if he never existed. This is not a fictional story. It didn't originate from a novel, nor was it inspired by science fiction films. All the data, screenshots, archived posts, and digital traces of John Titor, a man who claimed to be a time traveler, have been public since the year 2000. To this day, no one has proven it to be a hoax. The core issue isn't whether he came from the future. It's the fact that many things he said have actually come true, and all traces of him vanished completely. After 2001. In November 2000, on a niche forum called Time Travel Institute, buried among threads about Einstein's relativity and quantum mechanics, a new user posted a message. "I come from the year 2036. I'm a soldier on a time travel mission, assigned by the US government. I'm here to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer from 1975 and made a stop in the year 2000 to visit my family." The account was named Time_Travel_0, later known as John Titor. Most users laughed it off. They assumed it was just another elaborate roleplay. But John began sharing detailed blueprints of a time machine, describing it as being installed inside an old Chevrolet powered by dual rotating microsingularities, equipped with a gravity distortion unit and a temporal navigation controller. Surprisingly, the blueprints weren't nonsense. Several electronics engineers confirmed if gravity and magnetic fields could be manipulated as described, the theory is technically sound. John painted a grim picture of the world in 2036. A civil war erupts in the U.S. around 2005, culminating in full-scale conflict by 2015, splitting the nation into autonomous regions. A third world war breaks out in 2015, sparked by nuclear conflict between Russia and the United States, killing millions. The aftermath sees society revert to small, self-sufficient communities with strictly controlled technology. John never hesitated. He answered every question with military precision and calm clarity. Unlike the sloppy improvisations of typical role players, he even declared, "I know what will happen in your timeline, but I am not here to stop it. I'm just a soldier." Perhaps the most unsettling part of John's posts were the details of his time travel machine, built by General Electric in 2034, that powered by dual rotating plasma microsingularities, generating a mini gravitational field capable of bending space-time, guided by a complex inertial navigation system and an IBM 5100 computer used to correct Unix errors not publicly known. A disturbing twist. In 2004, an IBM engineer confirmed that the 5100 did have a hidden ability to emulate and debug mainframe code, a feature never disclosed publicly. Yet John described it accurately in 2000. As John's messages spread online, users began compiling a list of his predictions. The war in Iraq occurred in 2003. As he hinted, political unrest in the U.S. began to rise in 2005. Global health crises, viral mutations, and chaotic medical systems today. Surge in extremism and social fragmentation. While not all events matched perfectly in date or scale, the consistency and accuracy were alarming. Some even claimed that later disasters, such as the COVID-19 pandemic and tech wars, also mirrored John's warning signals. In March 2001, John Titor posted one final message: "I must leave now. My mission is complete. Thank you for the conversations. Cherish your present. Farewell." And that was it. No further posts. No online activity. All IP traces, emails, and account data were erased, cleanly and completely. Journalists, engineers, and hackers tried to trace his origin, but all efforts failed. A private investigator later remarked, "There's no one behind this identity." Whether it was a single person or a team, they erased their presence with inhuman precision. In 2003, a book titled John Titor, A Time Traveler's Tale was published, compiling all of his forum posts. Hidden in the final chapter were a few cryptic lines. "This timeline is a divergence. I am not here to change events, but to prepare certain individuals." Since then, some theorists have speculated that John was part of a large-scale time travel experiment, possibly under government control or by an unknown force. Conspiracy theorists even believe that John is still alive, quietly observing from another timeline. More than 2 decades have passed, and still no one has definitively debunked John Titor. No one has stepped forward to admit it was a hoax. No one has taken credit. Every trace of John has either vanished or was meticulously engineered to disappear. His predictions, while vague, feel increasingly familiar in today's world. Was this a psychological experiment or a real warning? Was John Titor truly a man from the future? And is the world he described slowly becoming our reality? The answer remains buried in the dust of the internet. A quiet forest in Vermont. 5 people vanished, one by one. No screams, no traces, no bodies ever found. This isn't a story, it's a real case. And the deeper you go, the stranger it becomes. Welcome to the Bennington Triangle, where the forest takes what it wants and never gives it back. The strange disappearances in the Bennington Triangle. Five people vanished. No bodies, no clues, just silence and a forest that does not give back. Between 1945 and 1950, 5 people disappeared without a trace in the mountainous region of southern Vermont, USA. None of the bodies were ever found. No screams were heard. And none of the disappearances have ever been solved. These are not myths. They are documented in official police reports, newspapers, and even FBI case files. The area is now known as the Bennington Triangle, encompassing Glastonbury Mountain, the town of Bennington, and the Somerset Woods. Locals call it a place that eats people. Journalists call it America's black hole. Plotting the 5 disappearances on a map forms a distorted triangle covering more than 250 square kilometers. This zone, once a thriving hub for logging and mining in the 1800s, was abandoned following strange economic collapse, railway shutdowns, and accidents no one could explain. The native Abenaki people warned of a cursed corridor in the forest, a place they avoided entirely. They claimed it was a passage where the earth swallows people whole. Archaeological digs have uncovered ancient stone structures in this wilderness, including possible altars, whose purpose and builders remain unknown in modern times. The region has exhibited compass anomalies, GPS blackouts, and animal migrations that deviate drastically from normal patterns. November 12, 1945. Midday Rivers, a 74-year-old hunter and guide, led 4 men into the woods near Glastonbury Mountain. He had lived there his whole life and was known for his uncanny sense of direction. Able to navigate the woods even in pitch darkness, the group stopped near a stream. Midday went ahead to check a path that he never came back. Minutes later, the group followed his trail but found nothing. No footprints, no broken branches, no cries for help. Only a rifle cartridge lying in the water that a massive search was launched. 300 people, bloodhounds, even military volunteers. But the scent trail ended abruptly, as if he had vanished into thin air. There was no sign of struggle, no natural hazard, just nothing. Midday Rivers had simply ceased to exist. December 1st, 1946. Paula Jean Weldon, an 18-year-old college student, left campus for a solo walk along the long trail. She wore a bright red coat, jeans, and no hiking gear. Witnesses saw her enter the woods near Glastonbury. A couple hiking behind her said she was just a few minutes ahead, but when they reached the same bend, she was gone. No screams, no disturbed foliage. It was as if the trees had closed behind her. The search was massive. Local police, students, firefighters, even the FBI. Not a single trace was found. No footprints, no fabric, no blood. The dogs lost her scent in the same spot where Mid-Eye had vanished. Paula's disappearance shocked the nation. To this day, her case remains open. Her photo still hangs in police stations across Vermont, a silent reminder that some people just vanish. December 1st, 1949. James E. Tedford, a 68-year-old World War II veteran, boarded a bus back to the Bennington soldiers' home after visiting family. Multiple passengers saw him on board. He had his luggage, his coat, and was reading a book. But when the bus reached its final stop, Tedford was gone. His luggage remained on the seat. His ticket stub was there. No one had seen him leave the bus. The vehicle had made no stops, and the doors were never opened in transit. A man had vanished from a moving, sealed vehicle without anyone noticing. Police investigated possible stops, false identities, even foul play. But Tedford was never seen again. October 12, 1950. 8-year-old Paul Jepson disappeared near the Somerset logging camp where his parents worked. His mother left him in their truck for a few minutes while she fed the pigs. When she returned, Paul was gone. Tracks were found leading toward the woods, but then they stopped. Bloodhounds traced his scent to the exact same spot where Paula Weldon had vanished, and then refused to go any farther. His mother later told police that Paul had been acting strange. He kept talking about the woods, saying, "It's calling me. I have to go." He drew spirals in his notebook over and over. October 28, 1950. Frida Langers, 53, was hiking near Somerset Reservoir with her husband and cousins. She slipped into a stream and decided to return to camp alone to change clothes. She never arrived. Another enormous search was launched. With aerial support, trained searchers, and volunteers combing the area for weeks. 6 months later, a hiker found her body near the reservoir, in an area that had already been searched multiple times. Her corpse was badly decomposed, making cause of death impossible to determine. But forensic teams discovered non-human material under her fingernails, a scaly residue not matching any known animal. Some believe her body was placed there later, long after the searches had ended. Locals tell stories of strange voices calling names in the woods, footsteps that follow but never show themselves, and the sound of distant crying where no one lives. Several hunters claim to have entered the forest in pairs, but only one came back. And the survivor had no memory of what happened. One tracker, after a failed rescue attempt, swore he felt time freeze around him, where all sound ceased, and his compass spun wildly. Some speak of a large, shadowy figure seen between the trees, taller than a bear, but moving like a man. Others believe there is a rift, a thin place, where reality breaks. And if you step into it, you don't belong to this world anymore. 5 disappearances. No suspects. No explanations. Only Frida's body was ever recovered, and even that brought more questions than answers. Official statements simply say, no evidence of foul play. No conclusion. But locals remember they avoid certain paths. They don't hike alone. And when someone disappears, they don't ask too many questions, because the Bennington Triangle doesn't give back what it takes. Mystery File, Room 611. A sealed dorm room. No student assigned. No lights ever on. And yet, every night at exactly 2 a.m., there's knocking from the inside. Welcome to Room 611, National University of Singapore in U.S. National University of Singapore, Block E Dormitory. This story was compiled from various sources, testimonies of NUS alumni, forum posts, and anonymous blog entries from 2006. NUS has never officially acknowledged the existence of Room 611, but many students have confirmed hearing strange knocks in Block E. The case remains unsolved. My name is Jay Tan, a final year architecture student at the National University of Singapore in US. And this isn't a story I ever imagined I'd tell. The IT all started in semester 2 of 2016 when I was assigned to Block E, an old dormitory building. From the 1970s, tiled floors, narrow hallways, dim lights like a Hong Kong horror film. Because I had registered late, I was given room 613, just 2 doors down from room 611. From the very first week, I noticed something strange. Room 611 was always locked, lights off. No nameplate on the door, no signs of life. But what was even stranger, every night, around 2 a.m., I started hearing knocking sounds coming from the direction of room 611. At first, I thought it was someone who forgot their keys or a prank. But after 3 nights in a row, same time, same knocking, I started feeling uneasy. One morning, I visited the dorm office. Room 611? Oh, that room's been empty for years, the staff replied, glancing at her screen as if hiding something. That I asked why. She answered, that part of the block is too old. Some rooms are sealed off due to electrical hazards. Don't worry about it. I wasn't convinced. That night, I waited behind my door at 1:58 a.m. at exactly 2:01. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, steady knocks. From room 611, I flung my door open and ran into the hallway. No one, not a soul. But the knocking continued, even though no one stood at the door. I started digging. On the NUS alumni forums, I found a short post, 611. Stay away. Something happened. One student disappeared. Username, xeblock91. I messaged him. 3 days later, he replied, I stayed at Block E in 1991. A freshman. Name was Wei Jun, was assigned room 611. 3 weeks in, he vanished. No one knew where he went. The room's been sealed since. I asked, was a body found? No. The police said he probably dropped out. But people living nearby claimed they still heard footsteps, running water, even though the room was locked. One night, I clearly heard the scraping of a chair, then a running tap, coming from inside room 611. I pressed my ear to the door. It was ice cold, like someone was standing on the other side. I snapped a photo of the door. In the reflection of the metal latch, there appeared to be a faint silhouette, like someone staring back at me. I sent the image to a classmate who studied graphic design and asked, "Do you see anything?" He was silent for a minute, then replied, "I thought you were joking, but it looks like there's a face in that reflection." That night, I had a dream. I was inside room 611. It was empty, water pooling on the floor, and a young man in a student uniform sat in the corner, his face shrouded in shadow. I returned to the admin office and requested official information. At first, they refused. Then I said, "If I report strange noises from a sealed room to the press, do you think other students might get scared?" She bit her lip, then whispered, "His name was Ingwei Jun, disappeared in 1991. Case unresolved. His family withdrew the missing person report after 5 years. They believed he took his own life." I asked how. She lowered her head. "No one knows. Just that." After that night, no one dared enter 611. And every time someone tried to unlock it, the lights in the entire block would flicker. According to an old security guard, on the night Wei Jun vanished, there was an unusually heavy rainstorm. Block E flooded slightly. The cleaning crew saw water seeping from room 611, but when they opened it, no one was inside, and the floor was completely dry. The window was still locked. No exit route. Since then, every time it rains, students near room 611 claim they hear wet footsteps walking back and forth in the hall. I set up a recording device inside the vent that connected my room to room 611. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I played the file. There was knocking. 3 knocks. Then a weak male voice. "Mom, please open the door." My hands trembled. That voice repeated 3 times, then silenced. I sent the audio to a psychology professor I trusted. He replied, "This isn't a prank. If this is real, you should leave the dorm immediately." I moved out a month later. I still don't know what was real and what wasn't. Maybe it was sleep deprivation, hallucination, or just coincidence. But I know one thing for sure. Room 611 is still there, still locked. And at exactly 2 a.m., sometimes, they're still knocking from the inside. The story ends here, but the mysteries still linger somewhere out there, hiding in the dark. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. If you felt a chill down your spine, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell, and share this story. We'll meet again in the next night with another mystery. Good night.